So D, you led this department for how many years?
Let's see. Worked at the TV station for about 37. Took over as sports director in 1985. Joined the TV station in 83, but took over as sports director in 1985.
Okay. I know you pretty well, Dean. I know that you have gone on the record as saying that your favorite assignments were doing the high schools.
Yep.
Tell me about some of these big name kids, or these kids that you started out watching, in high school, if not earlier than that, and ones that you kind of followed throughout your career. Who really kind of sticks out in your mind? They could be, in the pros now, or they can just. Is that Sully?
That was Sully. How'd you know?
Does Sully want to be on the interview?
I think so. No, actually, Sully saw a little activity outside and wanted to get into it immediately. But
I think you should pick Sully up and put him in the camera frame. That's what I think. So just tell me about some of these kids that really stick out in your mind. And they could be kids that are now in the pros, or they can just be, they're big game or big name kids while they were here, and then maybe went in a different path. But who are some of the big high school kids that you remember spotlighting over those years?
Coming from Danville, Will, I remember Farrell Edmonds. And Farrell, of course, is the father of Terrell and Trey and Tremaine. Had a great career at GW, went on to play for the Miami Dolphins. He's back. You go back to the early 80s for Farrell. I'm sorry, for Farrell. And, other guys that you have from this area that really stand out for me, of course, Anthony Poindexter, Jefferson Forest in the early 90s, back-to-back state titles for the Cavaliers. The Barber brothers, Tiki and Rondé from Cave Spring High School in Roanoke. All kinds of talent. I think about the Browns, Ruben and Cornell, EC Glass standouts. Both went on to play at the pro level. Herman Moore, GW, UVA, Detroit Lions. So many guys. Rashad Jennings, Dancing with the Stars, but had a great career, football career. Pittsburgh, Liberty, then of course onto the NFL, the New York Giants, and others. So just all kinds of talent. This has been a great hotbed of talent for guys that started in high school and were able to make their way all the way up to the highest level, the NFL.
Justin, I know that obviously you were here during Logan's big days. You covered him in Brookville, covered him all the way up to the top, really. What did you know that Logan was going to be? I mean, when you first saw him, did you just think that something was special about him?
Oh, absolutely. Logan Thomas was a stud. I remember one of our interns was covering a game with us. It was a basketball game, and he's throwing down dunks, shooting 3-pointers, and she was aware of what he had done during the football season, and she made a comment that just kind of stuck with me, and it seems like Logan Thomas could just pick up any sport and he'd be good at it right away. And he did track and field later in his high school career, and he set personal records like immediately and just continued to get progressively better doing hurdles. And I think he did some of the field events as well. But yeah, Logan Thomas was fantastic. He started out as a receiver and a tight end, and then moved to quarterback, and now he's back in the NFL as a tight end after playing quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals and bouncing around a little bit. But his career has been fun to watch. And then coinciding around that same time was Juan Thornhill from Alta Vista. He got a lot of play with some championships at the Super Bowl level with the Chiefs. So it's been fun to see. Anytime he comes on TV and someone's watching with me, hey, I covered that kid when he was a freshman at Alta Vista, and dunking and sweet jump shot, and then playing all different types of positions for the Colonels. So he's been fun to watch. And then Dennis mentioned all the Edmonds brothers who just ascended up into the college ranks and then into the pros, free agents last offseason, and now with new teams. But they've been really fun to watch.
There's going to be a part in here where I say that you know, it's not just players. It's not just that we've seen players grow up, or you guys have not just seen players growing up. You've seen institutions grow up as well. There's a little small college here in town. It's over on Candler's Mountain. Started out as, I think, Lynchburg Bible College. And I know, D, you covered that, right? Pretty much from the get-go. What was it like covering back then, Lynchburg Bible College back then?
Boy, the links that they have come to as far as what they're doing over there at Liberty University now on the mountain, it's incredible. You talk about the ascension of a program and how far they've come. I remember when they used to practice over kind of on an island over there, and the island got washed out, and they used to play their home games over at Lynchburg City Stadium. Just how far that program and that institution has come as far as athletic facilities blows my mind. I would never have thought that they could have come together with all the great facilities that they do have now. Football stadium, baseball, softball, ice hockey arena, you name it. That school has some of the best facilities in the country. I mean, you look at their indoor football center now, it's very impressive. And it's hard to believe that they have come as far as they have in a short amount of time as they have.
So I did not know that they used to practice over on what is it, Treasure Island, and
Yes.
that got washed in '85 with the flood of '85, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know you kind of said that you never thought in your wildest dreams that they would get from that level to this level. What were some of those early teams like? Like, how rustic were some of those early teams?
They were pretty rough there back in the day, but you know, I felt like the program really took off. Morgan Hout was a really good football coach. He had a great season his final year. I think the Flames went 8-3 maybe that year, but then Sam Ritigliano came along as head coach, and the program continued to build from there. Had a few tough years there thrown in, but you know, Coach Danny Rocco came and kind of got the program back on track, and now the program is just doing great. I mean, they've had a number of different head coaches here over the past 10, 15 years, but the Flames now, of course, in a new conference, Conference USA, it's amazing to see what they've done with those programs and how far Liberty has come as far as climbing the ladder, as far as conferences and stuff. Very impressive.
Dave, since you're an LU alumni, I know that now that you've had the opportunity to cover Liberty as it continues to grow, but also being there when it was growing itself, to have the opportunity to kind of, I know you covered their first bowl game, you covered their NCAA appearances, you traveled with them on all these things. I guess from both a professional and a personal standpoint, what does that mean to you, Dave, to where you've basically had a front row seat to history to watch this institution?
Well, both professionally and personally, like to touch on what Dennis is saying, it's been amazing to see this meteoric rise that this school has had. You know, if you're talking about when I was back in as a student, which was not that long ago, thank you very much. You know, the student body was the dorms were double wide trailers, 4 students to a room. I mean, it was like living in a sardine can. And now, you know, the student body has, you know, some of the best dormitories you'll find anywhere in the world. And again, like Dennis mentioned, you know, this is a team that would, you know, practice just basically in an open field behind an athletics office. And now they have, you know, indoor practice facilities. They have a stadium that's more than doubled in size, even, you know, since the time that I've started, you know, second levels all the way around, state of the art, everything. And it seems like every time they hit a new level of success on the field, they're quickly going, okay, what's next? You know, I mean, you know, when I was first starting to work with Dennis and Justin, you know, it was amazing that they were in the FCS playoffs, and they go, well, that's great. Now let's go to FBS, and they start winning at FBS. Okay, let's make a bowl game. And they always have a new goal that they hit very quickly, and then they set their sights on something higher. And that's something you don't see with a lot of other programs, you know, that climb to continually gain that next level of respect and to gain that next level of winning games and making a name for yourself. To see the level of success that they've had in just a short amount of time is really remarkable.
Okay. It's kind of fitting that we're doing this on 9/11 because sports also has a way of kind of bringing people together in times of great tragedies. I know that all of you have covered sports for quite some time. Big tragedies in our area include after the tech shootings, games following that. After 9/11, I know that sports were postponed for a while, but they still managed to get back in. And after UVA here recently, Dave, I know you have a lot of experience on that. What does it kind of tell you about just the overall world of sports, to where sports can bring people together even in times of great tragedies? And if you have any kind of memories of either of those events, just when you were out covering them, and just maybe some of the noticeable things that you saw.
Me or who's that?
Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go ahead and start real quick. I mean, I haven't necessarily covered as many tragedies, barring the UVA one, which broke so suddenly, and we watched an entire city really rally around a football team. And whether or not you were a fan of UVA, you came around to support them, to get them through this off season, which just an unspeakable tragedy. Watching people who aren't football fans suddenly become fans of this team. And just this past weekend, the emotion you saw when they finally hit the field again. People weren't tuning in really to see if they won or lost. They just wanted to come out and give them the motivation to get back on the field again. And so that was really a sight to see. And sports brings people together even during times like the pandemic, when there were no sports. You can't stop the sports calendar from moving. Even though it got paused, people were. That was the first sign of normalcy that people wanted to see. They wanted to see their teams back on the field. They wanted to have a reason to find a little hope again, and they put a lot of that faith into their local teams, their local schools. And when that started to happen, even as the world was still going crazy, we're still fighting over toilet paper and everything else we were doing at that time. Especially when high school football returned for that spring season, we've thought, okay, we've at least got this back. We're on our way back. It was just a little glimmer of hope, and it gave people a reason to have some optimism.
Yeah, it's great to have people come together in a setting where you can recognize and remember and honor people who either lost their lives or some type of other tragedy, or if someone in a community has an illness and fundraising is taking place to help that family. It's a place where people come together. There's all kinds of military appreciation nights, first responder nights. And where do they have that? They have it at a high school football game. Why? Because everyone's going to the game in that particular community. So there's that support, and there's that lean on someone to help get you through a tough time. And you have the coaches leading the way. You have team captains and players and parents all getting together. Senior nights, one of my favorite nights to see, when people come together and families are all around each other. But no matter where you go, I remember when I was in college and one of our professors said, no matter where you go, there's always going to be high school sports or high school football, and that's going to mean the most to that immediate community. So that's the type of atmosphere that's created when you have sports, whether they're taken away during the pandemic and brought back. But as 9/11 2023, it's 22 years since 9/11. I guarantee there's going to be all kinds of remembrances and having a flag at half staff and any type of remembrance of that at a high school game or a college game on the anniversary of those memorable days.
And of course, the most recent tragedy that we are trying to bounce back from is the UVA killings from last year. Big ceremony this past Saturday, the home game, first home opener for UVA this year. But I think back to the Virginia Tech shootings back in 2007, I believe. It's hard to believe it's been, more than 16 years since that happened. But what I remember about that, the way other schools came and supported Virginia Tech in their time of tragedy, even their arch rival, Virginia, came out, everybody was supporting the Hokies in their time of need. And it was great to see that kind of support and people rallying around even their fiercest rivals. It was just a great show of support, and sports really can bring folks together in times of need. And, you know, you just have to look at some of the things that teams around here have been through to know that when other folks need you in your worst days, they're going to be there to help out. And that's the American spirit.
I don't know if you guys know this, but in the last 39 years, WSET has only had 4 full-time sports anchors. You 3 and John Organ. D, tell me about good old J.O.
John Organ, boy, what a guy. You know, the first thing when you mention his name, the first thing that comes to my mind is hockey. John Organ loved his hockey. I used to get on him a little bit because he always liked to lead off sportscast with the NHL. And I said, John, we cover local sports here. I don't think we have any local NHL teams, unless you want to consider Washington Capitals or now maybe the Carolina Hurricanes. But, you know, that he loved his hockey, and he got so excited when he talked about hockey. I mean, you could hear the pitch in his voice just go up 1,000 octaves when he was talking about hockey. He loved that sport. He grew up around it. He grew up in the DC area. That was just one of his favorite things to do, was talk and watch hockey. I think he would tape games and go back and watch them earlier in the day, the next day, just to kind of see what he missed as he was working. But yeah, I really enjoyed working with John. We enjoyed covering high school sports. John, of course, had a couple of sons, one that was actively involved in sports and used to love to go to his games and support his son when he could. So just great memories of working with John. I thought he did a great job covering sports for us. And, you know, rest in peace, John Organ. We certainly miss J.O. He was the life of the party. Always had some great jokes to tell you whenever he saw you, and just kept the mood alive.
About so the 3 of you, and all of you stayed for a really good amount of time. Justin, you had never even been to the area before, and then you got here in what, 06, and stayed for about 9 years. Why?
I got there actually just after Virginia Tech shooting. So that happened in April of 2007. I started, I think, at the end of April in 2007, and was there through the end of December of 2015.
Why stay so long? What was it about the area, the station, the people? What was it?
Dennis Carter, the only reason.
Yeah. That's the correct answer, Justin. Good job.
No, it was a tremendous place to live. We love the mountains. We love the small town charm. We love the people that we worked with. It's where my wife, Kimberly, and I bought our first house, had our first child, had our second child. And we love the community in which we lived, the neighborhood that we lived. It was fun covering Liberty, Virginia Tech, UVA, Lynchburg College, Roanoke College, VMI, WNL. There was kind of a smorgasbord of different levels of sports coverage. It was fun covering bowl games for the Cavaliers and the Hokies. And the grass is not always greener elsewhere. And yes, I did depart for a location that I felt was best for my family and my career at that time. But it did take, I turned down some offers to stay at WSET because I knew what I had and it was a good thing. And Dennis and I at the time had a great team. And I think we were capturing eyeballs and people were paying attention to the feature stories we were doing. And I think we had a excellent high school football show, and we started the high school basketball show, Full Court Press, during my time there. So there was a lot to do and cover and see, and still have connections with a bunch of people in Lynchburg and in the area. And it was definitely home for my family.
We'll do like a rapid fire thing now. So I know that obviously, and actually all three of you have kind of told me this, like, anybody can get highlights or news about national sports. We're going to focus on local sports because you can't get that from an app. You can't get that from ESPN. What are some of those really unique sports that make our area so special? One that I think of is the 10 miler. I'll go ahead and throw that out there. Anybody else got any other ideas?
I like the Hillcats. Every minor league baseball town, there's only one Lynchburg Hillcats team, and different ownership groups and general managers and teams and managers and players come and go. But during my time there, I was off on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and if there was something going on in a Hillcats game on Thursday night, chances are I was going to be there just to enjoy the time and not have to cover a game and be able to enjoy it as a fan. But yeah, Virginia 10 miler, Lynchburg Hillcats. I think Lynchburg College, or I think University of Lynchburg now, is that what it's called?
Yep.
Lynchburg University. Covering the Hornets and getting to know the coaches, not only just as a professional, like interviewing, here's a microphone and I'm asking questions, but to get to know the coaches and the families as I got older and had a family of my own. Having those smaller schools, yes, but kind of right in your backyard, from the station to Lynchburg to cover them was a 4-minute drive kind of thing. So each town has its unique sports pathways and avenues. So that's a few that I would bring up.
Dave, you want to talk about U of L and their national championship run? I know you were front and center for that.
Oh yeah. Oh boy, that was a wild ride this past year with their baseball team. And they've made several deep runs at the ODAC, but to continue to have that success and keep climbing through the playoffs this year was a pretty wild experience. And then to finally not only just make a World Series for the first time, but to win the whole thing. The ODAC is something that has strong local fan support, but then to really see that blow up the way it did this summer with a national championship, where I was getting emails and calls every morning going, okay, well, when's the game tonight? What are they on? Okay, are you having highlights? Yes, and people were clamoring for it, in a way that I don't know that the local fan base had necessarily been as invested in Lynchburg. A lot of people, when they think college, their first thing is to jump on Liberty or Virginia Tech or UVA, but people in Lynchburg had an additional reason to have that pride now. Maybe they had been passive supporters of Lynchburg, but this summer they really found themselves really doused in the red and black, and they were all in, and boy, it was quite a celebration there.
Well, I was going to say, I love the ODAC. To follow up on Dave, covering the ODAC, the schools around here, always really welcoming. They want you to come and cover them, and they make it easy for you to do that. They do everything they can to help you as far as your coverage. I think about Martinsville Speedway. I mean, what a awesome place, a group that really welcomes you in. They want you to come and do a bang up job as far as covering racing in the area. Martinsville Speedway has been around as long as about any track. They continue to have 2 races a year, short track racing at its best, the paperclip. So I think of Martinsville Speedway, the 10 miler. Now this is what, the 50th year, goes back to, I remember the second year. This was before my time, but I've seen all the pictures of the tie at the finish line with Bill Rogers and Frank Shorter going across the line with their hands, holding hands. That was a neat scene. You go back to that, you see all the pictures and the description of that big day. So I think of the ODAC, I think of Martinsville Speedway, the Hillcats, as Justin commented, and high school sports. Again, I go back to high school sports. That was my favorite, covering football on Friday night. It's hard to beat high school football on a Friday night and college football on a Saturday afternoon. So those are the big memories for me.
Dave, do you want to, for the record, do you want to say your joke that you always say, your undefeated record at the 10 miler?
Oh yeah, my end of the reason I love covering the 10 milers, I come in first every year, riding in the media truck, so I love telling people right now I've got a 9-year winning streak at the 10 miler, looking like I look, and I always get the side eye when I do that. So and I enjoyed that even more before my knee surgery when I had the big old knee brace on. I said, yeah, I still can't outkick me at the finish line. So I'm going to defend that in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking
Dave,
forward
I
to
think with your knee replacement, I think you should. I think you should walk backwards. You don't even need the media truck this year.
You know what? I'm going to be humble and I'm just going to walk forward when I cross the finish line this year.
That'll work too.
Just low key.
Last thing, I know that all three of you, and I guess me technically from from filling in for Dave, just to know that kind of grind that you guys go, the amount of time it takes to get a good sportscast going, to kind of be able to balance your schedule out to where you get around to everything. Obviously, in order to do this job, it takes a passion. You really have to want to do this job. Do you guys want to touch on that? Just to maybe people don't realize what it takes to do your job and how it really does. You have to be passionate about it.
Oh, 100%. I think some people on the outside who might just not know how TV works, you got a 6 o'clock sportscast or an 11 o'clock sportscast. Oh, what time do you get in? Like 5 o'clock, or just come in at like 9:30? No, you're there working a full day and organizing and planning, and we're doing stuff on Monday through Thursday in preparation for Friday night's high school football or basketball coverage or what have you, and figuring out, okay, putting a list together in July of all the college football games that are on certain days from September all the way through November into December, and trying to see what times could I schedule some vacation, or hands off, you can't do it on that day because you got this and this. But yeah, you definitely try to spread the wealth as much as you can. And I learned in TV a long time ago, you're not going to please every viewer out there, but you can try to gain one viewer at a time by doing a feature story or getting some highlights or taking in some sights and sounds when you're there, and then coming back and doing a feature story or some type of interview along the way. But yeah, it is definitely a grind, but in many, many ways, it is not a job in the sense of I never dreaded, oh man, I got to go to work today type of thing. And unfortunately, I can still say that in my current position. So that is definitely a benefit of a job in TV or a job in sports reporting, sports broadcasting, sports anchoring.
The newscast is kind of a completion of the journey. That's your chance to shine. You put in all the preparation, all the work before that. You start in the afternoon or sometimes even in the morning. If you've got something to go out and cover in the morning, you work all afternoon or all night preparing for that 11 o'clock newscast. And when you actually sit down in that chair and you can do the sportscast, that's like your celebration. You've done all the work, all the preparation. Now just enjoy the fruits of your labor. That's, Friday nights, especially high school football Friday nights. Those were hectic. Those were very hectic nights. But once you got there, you sat down, you did the show, and you feel like you did a good show, and you covered a lot of teams, a lot of highlights. That was such a feeling of accomplishment after you got that done. And as Justin said, it's something you enjoy doing. It's not like you dread going to work. I don't think I ever dreaded going to work each day because I knew there was a new opportunity, something going on that day that I was really excited to talk about.
And building off of what both Justin and Dennis just said, I've always loved the extra busy days. If I know I'm coming in the morning, that means I've got a pretty full schedule. And, in what other world am I going to be able to visit multiple communities, see what's going on in their world, experience, baseball here, football here, racing here, and then get to tell everybody about it at the end of the day. And that's also when you get the best stories, is when you're out and about in the local community. You can be at a game, find a story there, or you talk to someone who gives you a great tip. Some of the most exciting things I've ever been to haven't necessarily been Final Fours or bowl games, but they've been stories and games that have been impactful to a local community that still stick with me to this day. And so I know if I've got 2 or 3 or 4 things on a schedule or even more, I know it's going to be an exciting day, and I'm ready to jump headfirst into it.
Anybody else got any closing thoughts? Maybe just the fact, I think we got about 5 minutes left. The fact that again, the fact that in 39 years, there's only been 4 people in this department. What does that say about, I guess, the longevity of the department? The fact that, not too often does a sports position come open at WSET. Why is that?
Because we enjoy what we're doing, Will. I mean, we put our time and effort into this job, and it's something that we enjoy doing. We like where we work. We like who we work with. And I've had the opportunity to work with these guys and others that I really enjoyed the journey with. I respected them. I hope they respected me. And we got together. We put together a product that we were proud of. And it was just fun, as Justin said, to come to work every day, to see what we could do, to see what different stories we could do, and go out and cover different teams and try to do feature stories that folks are going to like. You can't please everybody, but you can sure try. And that's what was part of the fun, was trying to do that work every day that, people were going to appreciate.
Yeah, in the TV world, you got people from all over the country in various newsrooms all over the country. So to have a select few people who stayed at WSET is definitely a testament to the station, to the management there, to the co-workers there, your fellow anchors and reporters and producers and camera operators and people on the technical behind the scenes side. I got friends still to this day from Lynchburg that our viewers don't know about because they're not on camera, but they're behind the scenes people that keep the TV coming on and keep the cameras working and all that type of stuff. Because it definitely takes a team. It's not just a one-off type of deal. Whenever I'm doing anything on TV from day one till now, I always use the word we, not me or I, because no matter what, yes, I might have done the interview or put the story together, but someone's got to press the play button for it to go, or somebody's got to have the lighting correct, and somebody's got to design the set. So it was definitely a great team atmosphere to be a part of each and every night that I went into work.
And for me, it's a special experience still to come to work each day. And I always feel like I have this legacy of the work that both Dennis and Justin have left behind. I always compare my work a lot of times to what I've seen in the past from both of them. And I want to make sure that I continue to hit that same level of professionalism and excellence that they do. If I'm trying to think of something new to put in the show, or how to expand Football Friday, or do more for Full Court Press, I kind of think, boy, would Dennis and Justin, would this be something that they would, do? And if my answer is yes, then yeah, I probably go with that a little bit. But you're right, it is a special place. There aren't many stations in the country that have this kind of longevity in the sports department, and in a time where there aren't as many stations even doing sports. If you look at some of the smaller markets out there, that have just farmed it off to a news person who can come in and then try to tell something, and they don't have the same level of connection with their local sports community as the three of us have had. I feel this sense of obligation to not just the station, but to the local community, to do the best job that I can to make sure that their stories aren't ignored and they're told in the best way possible.
I think we have under a minute, so you don't have to explain your answers, just real rapid fire. Dennis, I'll start with you. Biggest sports story in the area over the last 70 years?
Wow. One that quickly comes to mind, Virginia Tech's national championship against Florida State at the end of the 1999 season, and, Virginia basketball winning it all in 2019.
Justin.
What I was going to say, I'd say over the course of the 70 years, you got the Ralph Sampson years at University of Virginia, and then the rise of Liberty University and what the Falwells set out to do. And they've checked a lot of boxes through 2023.
Walsey.
I would definitely say Virginia in the Final Four. What a wild ride that was. Heart-stopping finishes literally every game of the national championship tournament. And then, as Justin just mentioned, the rise of Liberty and those first few bowl games, just seeing Liberty on a national stage and not only just happy to participate, but out there winning as well. And also Liberty basketball, when they won their first NCAA tournament game over Southern Mississippi, how the basketball community exploded. Just a tremendous growth from all those teams.
I think it's going to cut me off, guys, but I appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been like outside there. What is that? Around the horn. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Reality. Nice job.
Thanks, guys.
everybody.
I'll send it to you when it's all good.
Thanks for watching the ABC13 YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos and live coverage and local stories, click to subscribe and download our ABC13 News app.